Okay. Good morning, evening, afternoon, good moment, everybody. Welcome to this celebration of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo's anniversary. Thank you all for joining the KVP team for enabling this session, and of course, thank you Khyentse Rinpoche for being our guiding light of this entire project, and thank you to Tulku Rinpoche for being here today with us. Yeah, my name is Arne Schelling. I'm one of the team members of Khyentse Vision Project. I never really remember my exact title of my job, but the idea is that I'm the research editor. And before we asked the Tulku Rinpoche to teach on the newly published text by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo about the mandala practice, which will be followed by a short Q&A, I wanted to say a few words about merit in general and also the importance of the accumulation of merit, because the entire Buddhist path could basically be understood as consisting of these two accumulations of merit and wisdom. And I think Tulku Rinpoche will touch that as well, and I'm sure we will have some nice discussions on that afterwards. In this newly translated text, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo explains very intimately and poetically how to offer a mandala or the entire universe, and how that then accumulates immense amounts of merit. And it is about that kind of auspiciousness that we want to bring in the world by doing this, and also that is our core vision of Khyentse Vision Project. And therefore, yeah, I'm very happy that especially today, on this anniversary day of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, we publish and talk about this special text. So, what is merit? Merit is definitely something that we have heard from right from the beginning of our Buddhist journey, like this term merit, but it's quite a complex thing. It has many layers, and it's not that easy to understand, I think. And punya in Sanskrit. And I'm sure you have come across more general explanations or definitions of merit, like that it's the positive power or the benefit, or maybe peace and happiness that results from good actions, such as our Dharma practice. Or maybe also that it's like a positive potential, for experiencing future happiness, again, resulting from constructive, positive, altruistic actions. But when we really look into merit, I think the merit that we want to accumulate could be a little bit different, because we are not just wanting happiness, we not just want a nice villa, a nice car, a good partner, or an amazing reputation and freedom from sickness. But I think once we put our foot on the Mahayana journey, we want to go beyond these worldly things, worldly gains and worldly happiness. And we are more interested in benefiting others, or we are more interested in seeing the truth. And therefore, I like very much how Khyentse Rinpoche is usually defining marriage, like that which brings us closer to the truth, or the ability to think differently. So I think that is something very important to contemplate or discuss upon. What brings us closer to the truth, or what makes us think differently. And so therefore, it might not be about just getting like a samsaric upgrade, like having a more fancy world or samsara that we're experiencing, or avoiding worldly problems, but it's more like the merit that makes us meet the Dharma and makes us to be receptive to it, and makes us understand it, and makes us want to practice it. Or that it's merit if we meet authentic teachers And if we have devotion to them, and if we are able to follow their instructions, all these different steps are always merits. And so I think merit is like this auspicious interdependence, or I don't know, maybe magic glue, you know, that keeps all these great outer circumstances and inner circumstances together, that really something really good and meaningful in best case scenario, like Buddhahood, is happening. And so this is what we are talking about here. And that merit, of course, is also able to overcome obstacles, and it makes our wishes and aspirations more powerful. I'm sure you have seen Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche's recent teachings on aspiration, you know, how important aspiration is. And for that sort of, we need the backup of merit, you know, to make them really happen and manifest. And yeah, merit, I think, is that sort of, that creates the mental atmosphere so that we can have bodhicitta and then overcome our negative emotions and finally attain Buddhahood. So how do we get that thing, that merit thing? Usually it said, you know, that if we do good actions with a good motivation, that is basically what accumulates the merit. And when we look into Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo's texts, you know, all the collections of his works, you know, there are so many great practices and so many important philosophical texts also that we could contemplate upon, you know, and whatever text we practice or study and contemplate and meditate upon, they like bring about a lot of merit if we do it with the right motivation, of course. And here, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo's practices are like the good actions that need to be practiced with a good motivation, which is bodhicitta, basically. And one of these examples, you know, of great practices to accumulate merit is, yeah, the Mandala offering that Tulku Rinpoche will explain soon. Of course, we have many other examples of accumulating merit, like reciting mantras, prayers, generally offerings, you know, like things that we own or things that we don't own, things that we only imagine maybe. Or we do 7-branch prayer, like when we recite the King of Aspiration prayer. Or we practice the 6 parameters, where there's also, again, generosity, virtuous practice, meditation. Or we do practice meditation, you know, that is all a very meritorious to go to pilgrimages, you know, like there's also Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche's book on that. So, but let's now zoom more or focus more on this mandala offering, you know, which is a very famous and powerful merit creating technique. And yeah, I'm very happy to introduce my dear friend Tulku Rinpoche to then go into that text by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo that is teaching this mandala practice, this principle of offering the universe. And Rinpoche himself translated this text so wonderfully with the help and assistance of Christian and Charles. And the text is called A Brief Explanation on the Practice and System of the 37 Heap Maṇḍala Offering. And I think you can find Tulku Rinpoche's biography everywhere nowadays on the web, but also on our beautiful KVP website. So therefore, I would like to introduce him more personally, you know, why I think that Rinpoche is such a qualified teacher. He already feels uncomfortable, I see. And but I think it's very easy, you know, like to see why he is really good in teaching this ancient wisdom in the modern world. If we look into his life story so far, you know, he was living, quote unquote, a normal life in India for 17 years in a Tibetan family, having a normal life in Asia. And then he was recognized by His Holiness the Sacred Trijin the 41st, and then brought to Dzongsa in North India, where he studied and practiced as a monk for 13 years. And yeah, he went through all the classical training, yeah, got accustomed to all this classical wisdom of Buddha Dharma. And then after that, he became a lay practitioner in the West, living with his family, 2 kids in Germany, and teaching all over Europe, So I think Rinpoche has already a very balanced life, ordained or lay practitioner, East, West, ancient wisdom, modern world. So I think he is endowed sort of with all the reference points and knowledges about these different parts of being or parts of the world. So therefore, yeah, I think his teaching are very accessible and relatable. That's it. Thank you very much. And so over to you, Rinpoche, please teach us.
Shesha tamche zibe jayang pa dungu jele drupe tuji jay zamitile zibe tongwa wa jamgal lamme jabla gujaz. Shesha tamche zibe jayang pa dungu jele drupe tuji zamitile zibe tongwa wa jamgal lamme jabla gujaz. So on dipsa lama khyentse wa jesu. Shenche lapshi lama. Tenmen kao lama khyentse wa. So dresik dang lama khyentse wa. Tuji suji lama. Chenno lama. Jasitu namdar sabjing jasita la nyersubzu yapjing la hashinta la rewa machi kanginta insen kundu Jamyang Khyentse samjing chiji tuji chungse menya menje surngi rangi nyebele besi tadung chunye majur pardo chapshin solwar majuru chi hong uji jindob jang tsampe ma gazara dongbola yansen choki ngudung nepe ma jungne shesot kordo kandru mongpe koro chiji jesu ta dubji shinji labjir shekso zulguru pema sedi kusum lama sojidoje tala chokdo munjongo dub zaldu sum wajirum bajala sowadam kaljem barjim mejun jin tunjin sambar dubadan chodon tumongo dub zaldu lasso tashidelek. I hope you can hear me, Anna. Wunderbar.
Yes, Rinpoche.
Gut, dann machen wir weiter. Welcome to our celebration of the anniversary of Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. I think the actual anniversary is probably tomorrow, but for various reasons, the celebration is observed today. First of all, I would like to gently scold Arne for making such a big fuss about introducing me. That reminded me of a comedian that I like to follow, and somewhere when he was talking in a club, and the organizer introduced him as the greatest comedian in the world. And he bombed, he just couldn't talk because the announcement was so big. And then later he famously went to the organizer and sort of literally yanked him from his neck and said, "Never say that again." Just kidding. Well, since this is a bit different kind of talk, it's easier for me to speak to a specific type of listeners, when people come to study about Mondo, and then I can just go on and on about how mandala practice is done, the instructions and whatever information that I can pass. But since this is not like that, it is more of a general talk, and we may have people from different stages in their in their spiritual progression. Then Arne already wonderfully explained, the phenomena such as karma and merit, and why it is important to accumulate merit, and the importance of the mandala practice. I don't really have anything extra to say to that, to be honest, but I'll just then go through things that I thought I should speak about. First of all, what a wonderful thing to do. Just to, this is what we are supposed to do on the anniversary of our gurus. We do Guru Puja, Guru Yoga. These are all offerings. These are all, Mandala offering. If you understand it only as offering the external mountain and rivers and oceans, then it is so, we deprive ourselves of the richness of this practice. It is Guru Yoga without doubt. So we are making offering to our root Guru. Here, I think I can safely say Khyentse Rinpoche himself, since probably most of us are his students, and lineage gurus. And among the lineage gurus, then is Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, Khyentse Chuchu Lodru, and here, as a student of the Khyentse lineage, you are automatically indebted to probably all the different kinds of lineages that appeared in Tibet and India. So your sort of guru lineage is very rich. It is everything. So during such a day, we make offering, we celebrate. We do, anniversary, sort of, it may look strange to some that we do not celebrate the Guru's birthdays so much. Nobody knows, nobody cares. Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo birthday, but we celebrate their sort of parinirvana anniversary, because that's, from our ordinary perspective, that's when sort of course, during their lifetimes, for sure, they have come face to face with Dharmakaya. But during the time of the death, we are more certain that they have achieved full liberation. So it's not a day to mourn. Actually, it's a day to celebrate. So that's why we celebrate anniversaries, parinirvana anniversaries. So definitely this has a lot of tendril. Tendril is auspicious circumstances. You can understand it as a good karma, why not? But for sure, tendril plays a very, very important part on, on our path. It's basically doing the right thing at the right moment, in the right circumstances. So that miraculously brings immense wholesome result in future. So tender is so important for us. That's the reason why teachers tell us, like, yes, during prostration, do like that, visualize like that. All of that has a lot to do with this thing called tendril. So for sure, there is a lot of tendril here that we followers of Rinpoche, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, keep his name alive. try to follow his teachings, especially here Khyentse Vision Project, which is solely from the kindness of Khyentse Rinpoche himself. This for sure keeps the name of Khyentse Wangpo, alive, known, heard, revered for hopefully for many, many, many centuries. So all of this has a lot of tendril, and I'm very happy that I must thank Droma Guntarla for giving me this opportunity to actually translate this text, and with the kind help of Christian Bennett and all the editors like Charles Hastings and so on. From my own perspective, this is the first sort of text that I got to translate and is being published. We have been working in this translation things for almost a decade now, more than a decade. But this is the first time, so I'm very happy about that. Well, Mandala Offering. I prepared so much. I don't know what am I going to say, where to start. Well, the principle of Mandala Offering is quite simple. It is accumulation of merit. It's accumulation and purification. Our teachers tell us that if you want to know if your practice is correct, if your practice is actually taking you on the path, if you are actually progressing on the path, it's then very simple to check if purification and accumulation is happening or not. At the end of the day, Dhamma practice is nothing but purification and accumulation. So Mandala practice is no different. One might look at it as a preliminary thing, but this is the beauty of Buddha Dharma, and especially beauty of Vajrayana, because Mandala practice is a practice that we do during our Vajrayana pursuit. That from the beginning till the end of sort of Wondro and all the whatever actual practices, each one of those practices should be and have to be a complete path. Each one of those practices should deliver us to enlightenment, should have the potential to deliver us to enlightenment. At the end of the day, it's not really the practice, that whether a practice is a Wondro or Mushi or not, by themselves, in their own nature, it is us as a practitioner that makes a practice a Wondro practice or a Mushi practice, the actual practice or just a preliminary practice. So the Mandala practice it's actually an offering. It's a generosity, practice of generosity, one of the paramitas. Amongst generosity, it is an offering to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, gurus, lineage gurus, out of devotion, gratitude, and appreciation for all that they have done, for all that they represent. And yes. Generosity in itself, of all the teachings that Shakyamuni Buddha have given, 84,000 different teachings, all of those teachings is said to be taught to us with but one motivation, is to liberate us, awaken us, to make us realize the ultimate reality. But among all of these teachings, the first teaching that Shakyamuni gave to many of his students, before he would actually go into the teaching of Four Noble Truths and Four Seals and so on, he would first talk about generosity. Chandrakirti talks about this in quite a detail in his text, Entering the Middle Path. Why Buddha talks about generosity first. I listed some sort of reason why he would have done that, why he did that. First of all, it is the most easiest practice of accumulation, among all the other practices like discipline and meditation and what is it, patience, tolerance. Oh, that's difficult. Compared to all that, generosity is the easiest. So it has that kind of impact. It has that kind of quality. Then, not only it is the easiest, like you can to be generous, you can even give your leftovers, right? You can even give the old clothes that you have. That's still generosity. It is the easiest thing to do. And if you cannot even do that, you can visualize it. You can just imagine, and that's also fine. That's also okay. That is generosity. On this part of Mahayana, where mind is praised or blamed to be the creator of all phenomena, then offering a visualized, imagined thing is also generosity. So it has that kind of phenomenon. You cannot do that. You cannot have imaginary discipline. You cannot have an imaginary meditation. It doesn't work like that. But generosity, it does. So it has that kind of element too. Generosity is also important because if we do not have wealth, not having wealth is a very, very big obstacle to practicing Dharma. It is. You really need to have enough wealth that you're not worried about your survival. Then you can delve into Dharma practice, right? So it is important now. And if you want to benefit others, you also need wealth, especially in a samsaric condition. You really need wealth. You could be the greatest, you could have the greatest compassion, but if you are utterly poor, there's going to be a lot of hindrance in your benefit to others. So wealth is important, and that comes from generosity, offering. Most importantly, it goes against the habit of our self-grasping, and that is what we should focus upon while practicing mandala, I think, and it is taught to us again and again, because the nature of self-grasping is that of clinging, is that of not letting go of things, whereas generosity is then making whole, puncturing this habit, that actually you begin to let go. I think one can even come to this conclusion that if you are truly generous, if you are very generous, the more generous you are, the weaker your self-grasping should become. In Ways of Bodhisattva, Shantideva says the paramita of generosity is this acceptance of giving anything to anybody, anyone, so it is that kind of weakening of self-grasping ego. And it brings immense joy right now. Generosity has that effect too. Like, try to be generous to someone now, right now. When you try to be, immediately forget about the good results in the future. You feel this immense joy right now. And this joy is so pure compared to all the rest of the joys, samsaric joys of, I don't know, indulging in good food and music and all that. But this joy of generosity has this very sort of pure, noble, very humbling sensation, generosity. So this happens right now, right? Anyway, so amongst generosity, now to the mandala, generosity towards the Buddha Dharma Sangha, generosity towards, okay, here let's talk about Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha is supreme. Generosity towards our guru, root guru, is supreme because they open the door to liberation to us. Something that has never happened before Shakyamuni came. For a long time, that there could have been amazing teachers, but none could teach the true reality of phenomena. And so they couldn't liberate sentient beings as much as they would have loved to do. That they must have a lot of compassion, but still, until Shakyamuni came, since the past Buddha and until Shakyamuni came, one can almost say like the door of liberation was closed for us, people of this earth. So that alone is, enough reason to make such offerings. And yes, it is also supreme, the field of merit. They are called field of merit, right? Yes. I'm sure most of you practice Ngondro, so you know about this quite well. So everything is offered. So the idea is everything is the object of offering. I remember this old Sakya monk, I don't know if he's alive, but every time he sees a beautiful car, like a good-looking man or a woman, or no matter what building, he would immediately shout, "Sakya Kongma Che," it's a offering to the Sakya Kongma. I mean, he's such a monk. What do you expect? But but that's this beauty that for him everything is offering, and that's how mandala practice should be done, right? Everything is offered. In higher practices, then we are taught to offer our loved ones, and as we offer our loved ones, it antidotes our attachment to them. We are taught to offer our enemies, and as we offer them, it antidotes our aggression. And we are taught to offer all sentient beings about whom we know nothing about. We are completely ignorant. And as we offer that, we get rid of our indifference. So this kind of things are taught. And Mandala 2, those of you who have access, you should definitely check Sakya Pandita's writing on the outer, inner, and secret mandala offering. You really, you really gain a much, much deeper, profound understanding, view of the whole mandala thing. Well, this offering of 37, the practice and system of the 37 Heap Maṇḍala Offering, I'm reading the text, is composed by Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. Now, this 37 Heap Maṇḍala Offering was created by the great Drögun Chogyal Pakpa of the Sakyapa tradition, one of the founding fathers. I think he lived in the 13th century. You will find about him in the introduction. So, very, very special being. He was named Pakpa, Arya, by people from a young age because he was very different, so different that even his teacher, Sakya Pandita, praised him to be very special. Drögun Chogyal Pakpa, if you are interested, is also a very important historic figure, political figure too. He, for various reasons, he had to assume the role of the first monastic king of Tibet. Yeah. So, right now, some of our friends raised this issue, and it's also came up many times when I would talk about mandala, here in our center during Ngondro. People struggle a bit about the whole Mount Sumeru and what is it, the X-head shape Jambudvipa, which is supposed to be our Earth and all that. I understand that. There must be a real struggle, a real struggle. This concept of Indian cosmology, I cannot say if this is just the system, the way it is placed is a very specific Buddhist thing. How long have I been talking? Okay. Somehow people seem to think that it's easier for Tibetans because we grow up with this. Actually, we don't. This whole Mount Sumeru and this is not important to us at all. Not at all, really. I never thought about it before. It's like all or many aspects of Buddha Dharma has seeped into our culture and tradition. Not this one, not so much. I want to say this because people keep saying, "Oh, it must be very easy for you." Well, it's not like our parents tell us, be careful or someone will climb down Mount Sumeru to punish you. Nobody does that. No one talks about. Nobody knows. They don't even know. You ask any sort of normal Tibetan about Purva Videha or Chamara, they just look at you blankly. There's just no idea. Now, of course, which is why when the idea of sort of the current cosmology, the teaching of current cosmology is introduced to Tibetans, we're not shocked, we're not surprised. We just take it. Oh yeah, why not? It's not like, no, it cannot be. The sun goes behind the Mount Sumeru. That's why we have night. Not because the earth turns around. You understand? No one will argue with you like that. Most people will not, unless someone is very, very special. That's something else. I can't tell you how you should think, how you should look at it. I don't know. Different people, different karma, different views. But for myself, I went to school until I was 17. So actually, this our cosmology, I should say our cosmology, the prevalent, teaching on cosmology, it was introduced to me before the whole mandala thing, the whole Buddhist, the ancient Indian cosmology. And we learned that, we believe that. I believe that 100%. And then later in monasteries, I was taught, this is how the world came to be. And there's Mount Sumeru. And we are right now on this chariot-shaped or X-head-shaped continent. I believe that too. Why not? Because again and again, our teacher teaches us, appearance is not trustworthy at all. It's not trustworthy at all. So then, whatever, ordinarily, yes, sun, Venus, and all that, Earth goes around sun. But while practicing mandala, full conviction, this represents everything that is good and noble in this world. Just that. But that's me. I think there are many ways to look at it. But regardless of what you believe, no matter whether you believe that this is utterly not true, or you believe maybe it could be true. Some believe that this world system is actually, not just some, it is actually taught in the teachings of Buddha. And Sakya Pandita also argues that these are not perception of ordinary human beings. He says, ordinary human being is not supposed to find Mount Kailash, for example. Mount Kailash that is taught in the cosmology is supposed to be something so special that ordinary humans just cannot find it. So you have to have a meditative sort of concentration, very strong ability to be able to find it. So then the Mount Kailash that we have now Sakya Pandit argues it's not really the actual Mount Kailash. So then there's that type of people. So there's that type of teaching that these are not perception of ordinary humans. Ordinary human perception may be very different from this. And you can go with that. I find sort of it very handy and useful. Anyway, but regardless of no matter what you believe, Four Noble Truths will not change. It doesn't affect Four Noble Truths at all. It doesn't affect 4C. It doesn't affect the true truths. It doesn't affect the path and the result, bodhicitta, emptiness, not at all. So just want you to remember that, because if you fixate on this, like, oh, is it, where is it, it cannot be, then it's just, it could be an obstacle, unnecessary obstacle. So better not. If tomorrow I hear, oh, a teacher wrote a new mandala text with the sun in the middle and the rest of the planets on the 4 directions, and why not? If someone else says, oh, someone composed a new mandala text with the Mount, Everest in the middle, and then the continents, and no problem. Not that important, these things. Now, the ancient Buddhist cosmology has a lot of benefit. It had its functionality. It served, and it still does, according to our lunar, it is still the basis of our lunar calendar, and it's still very important. Just the concept, the idea, and it helped explain a lot of things. It helped explain day and night. It helped explain 4 seasons. So, okay, it may make you laugh. So this is the mandala sort of concept, So this is the Mount Sumeru. I cannot see it. Where is it? This is supposed to be the Mount Sumeru in the center. And then this is where we are supposed to be, right? So then the sun and moon now, in this context, are objects that move around the Sumeru. So then the night happens when the sun is behind the Mount Sumeru, so we are here. So when it's night for us, it's day for this Uttara Kuru, whatever, this continent. So like this, it explains seasons, So this here is the earth. When the sun is moving, the orbit of sun is very close to the Mount Sumeru, it becomes summer. And then it goes further and further and further. So this ordinarily should be quite nearer, much nearer than this. But anyways, just a diagram. As the sun goes further away, its orbit goes further away from the earth, it becomes winter, So it explained all those things. So it has a lot of functionalities. Even things like the color of the sky, why the sky is blue. Then we have in Abhidharma, because the sunlight hits the side of Mount Sumeru, which is made of, what is it, Arne? Lapis lazuli, right? Right.
Yeah, or beryl, but normally lapis lazuli, yes.
Lapis lazuli. So Mount Sumeru is made up of these 4 very special. Mount Sumeru is supposed to be made up of the best of the materials on this world, in this world. So one side is made of lapis lazuli that is facing the earth. So this blue in color. So the sunlight hits lapis lazuli, then it hits the water, making the water blue, and then it goes up and hit the sky, making the sky blue. Like that. And it how to say, it has this kind of explanation that whether it's true or not, it was functional, so to speak. So it had this kind of relevance. Most importantly, Shakyamuni Buddha came and taught something that was so out of this world. He said things like, all phenomena comes from their own specific causes and conditions. And of course, he's supported by external and internal phenomena. He says, look at the seed, look at the flower, look at your emotion, look at your happiness, your suffering. All of it has its own causes and condition. And when he's teaching that, we find that then there is no role of a creator. There cannot be a creator, not because, we don't like creators, creator, God, goddess, or energy, or whatever. There cannot be a creator because there is no functionality of a creator. Even if there would be a creator, what is this creator going to do to make this flower bloom, that the sun won't do, that the earth won't do, that the water won't do, that the wind won't do? There is no external, the extra phenomena functionality left for a creator. So here, with this kind of world system, there is no place for a creator. In the Abhidharma, we are taught that before this world was formed, how to say, okay, I'm going to be very, very traditional, where wind blew from different direction, carrying small parts of, materials that other teachers then deduced that probably from destroyed previous different worlds, so debris of all those, they sort of collide, and that creates heat, that creates moisture, and that moisture binds those phenomena. It burns them, it binds them, and so our world begin to form. And even the idea of Buddhist cosmology is very interesting, where this earth depends on where everything is in space. So the first layer of our world is air. Then what is it? Water. Then earth. Then again the oceans and the continents. So even when you think about that these people, even if it's all just made up, what an idea, what a thing to say, that all of this world is depending upon nothingness, just space, Anyway, I find it very interesting. But like I said, whether you believe it or not, if you could think that, well, this symbolizes all the wonderful things of this earth, of your world, and of your imagination, that should suffice, actually. Right, maybe that's enough for that. So what is important is purification and accumulation, as I said before, and as Arne said from the beginning, purification and accumulation. Of course, we're not going to go through the text thoroughly. That's not going to happen, and I probably won't even be able to go through it in a very concise manner also. The beauty of this text, again, is that it is kept rime by Khyentse Wangpo, so that practitioners of all schools can use this text to an extent that he doesn't even include the recitation of the Vajrasattva. Usually when we are wiping clean the mandala plate, we are supposed to recite Vajrasattva. He doesn't even include that. And he gives different choices, like either you can do it like this or like that, based upon different traditions. At the beginning, he just says, visualize your field of merit. So, but without specifying what, of Nyingthig or of Lamde, he doesn't say anything like that. Just that visualize your field of merit. And I find that very compassionate, that practitioners from all different backgrounds can then identify with this text. Although the act of generosity and offering itself is an act of purification, at the beginning, when we are wiping the mandala, it says, carefully wipe the mandala plate to symbolize the nature of mind is stainless. So here, usually, we are taught to recite Vajrasattva, right? At least in the traditions that I have received instructions, and we are taught to, recite Vajrasattva until the plate is completely clean, and this is said to have the the tendril of purification of the mandala plate here then symbolizes the nature of our mind, the very fabric of our existence, the fabric of our consciousness. And by wiping it clean, so this act of wiping it clean is then purification. And just like with the practices such as Vajrasattva and so on, then when it is clean, it is then to symbolize the complete awakening, the complete sort of nirvana, sambodhi. So, this you can say is the purification part of it. And then comes the accumulation with all the details, and he really teaches how to hold the flowers. Here, flowers, it means rice or grains or whatever you're using. Most of us follow the same tradition that they used to do in Tibet, which is using grains. We didn't have flowers. But I think in India, in those days, where this practice actually originated, people used flowers. There are even accounts where masters who were like kusali, like they're completely poor yogis. They used very sort of fine pebbles and stones, small stones, completely white, clean stones. So yes, in that context, then whatever that you can offer, is understood as flowers here. And then he teaches how to hold it and so on, like that. There are 37 different objects that are being offered here. Amongst them, 19 are coming directly from sort of Buddhist cosmology, like the Mount Sumeru, the 4 continents, and the 4 subcontinents. By the way, those of you who are interested, followers of Padmasambhava, so this is Sumeru, right? Here is Jambudvipa, whatever. Anyway, so then we have Chamara, Apara Chamara. Chamara here is where you should find Padmasambhava these days. This is also called the land of Rakshasas, and Guru Rinpoche is supposed to have gone there to tame them, right? So this is actually where one should find Guru Rinpoche if someone is looking. Anyway, so continents, subcontinents, the sun and the moon, these are all from the cosmology. And also, what else? The precious jeweled mountains until uncultivated harvest. These are also from cosmology. Now, phenomena such as uncultivated harvest, they do not exist now, but they are supposed to have existed during a time when, farming was not introduced, farming was not there, so humans would rely upon whatever that grew, in the world, and then they used to be this very special sort of harvest that just grow by themselves, and they could live upon it. So uncultivated heart is like that. Then the second, so these 19 are phenomena that you find, in the cosmology, this cosmology, and the 19. So these are 19, and then the next 8, beginning from like the 7 royal offering with the precious queen and precious ministers and so on, and so there are 7, and adding the precious vase, it becomes 8, and these are how to say, these are phenomena that appear when there is a Chakravartin, a universal monarch appearing on this earth. A universal monarch is a phenomena very special, and usually bodhisattvas on the first bhumi, when they appear in this world, they appear as universal monarch. And it is said that when Siddhartha was born as a bodhisattva, 10th bhumi, he had these marks on his body that even as an infant, learned men could look at him and see that he's going to be either a universal king or a Buddha, awakened being. That is because it is said that a universal monarch also possesses these marks, but not very clear like a Buddha, but also possesses like different marks, like the chakras on the hand maybe, and not complete, but some. I must say that the explanation of each of the objects in this text is so good. It's not very detailed. If you want more detail, you have to look somewhere else. But it is really enough to make you think, to let you know that these are not just names that you're reciting while offering, that they actually have a character behind it. They have their own mood, So that's that. And then the rest is visualized, imaginary. The 8 goddesses, the goddesses of scent, goddesses of dance, all these are imaginary. Rest 10, If it is so difficult for you to visualize this, you can visualize and imagine that upon your Buddha nature, which is cleared at the beginning, when you clean it, and then as you add on objects, these are all the qualities of hearing, contemplation, and meditation, all the qualities of the path that you have gained, you will gain in future, that all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have gained in the 3 times, and offer that. This is actually taught in the secret mandala practices. Anyway, I don't want to go on talking about this, because I think I have spoken longer than I should have a little bit. So if you have questions.
Longer, but also more wonderful than you should have had.
Are you doing that again?
I have already some questions.
Please.
And everybody else, please also get ready. You in the beginning, you said like we can sort of measure or see if we are on the path or not, if we check if we do accumulations and purifications. But how do we know it, or how do we feel, or what are the indications that we are properly accumulating and properly purifying?
Oh, that's actually kind of easy. If you watch yourself. Path. What? Okay. Compassion is path. Devotion is path. Diligence is path. all the 6 parameters. And on top of that, whatever practices that you're doing. So when you see that these qualities are increasing in you, when you become more compassionate, which is accumulation, anger should automatically go down, like that. Of course, we cannot see karma now. We cannot press a button here and see, oh, now this is going up, this is going. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't have to be like that. It actually has no meaning. Good karma, you could accumulate good karma for your whole life, but without path, if it is not path, then what's the point? So yes.
Okay, there's one question from the chat. I think you cannot see it, but could you introduce a little bit more about the outer, inner, and secret mandala? I think you mentioned Sakya Pandita in this regard. And this person who is asking is currently doing the mandala offering in terms of the non-true practice. But could you explain a little bit more the 3 levels?
Anna? Okay.
Was the internet so bad?
Okay, I think I understood. Explain the outer inner secret, right?
Yes, if you could explain a little bit more what does it entail, these 3 different levels of offering?
I would really suggest to go actually to talk to someone who has this teaching, maybe you can read the Tibetan yourself, or there's translation. Now the outer one is as we have here. Inner one is okay. The inner one is with our skin as the ground and our backbone as Mount Sumeru, and like that. That's very, what is it, graphic. And the secret one is then purely sort of from the viewpoint of Dharmakaya, this one way, or one can also understand it as I said before, that that the mandala plate represents your mind, and when you put water on top of it, scented water, this is compassion, and now mind together with compassion, then you gains all the quality of the path, then Mount Sumeru, like that. But please refer to someone, because this is the entire text, the secret, in what is it, outer, inner, secret mandala taught by Sakya Pandita. And there are also many other ways of talking about the same mandala practice. But I think we should listen to these from our teachers, actually. I just show you like a window shopping a little bit, just that's it.
And if you come back to this cosmology, since it's really different from how nowadays we see it, could we just do our mandala practice and while visualizing the things that are really important for us, like as you said, sun or other things in the ancient mandala visualization is representing greatness, goodness, and so on. So could we just do it like that?
Why not?
That we use the things that we care? Oh, I guess
why not? But also, that a big part of Mahayana offering is the visualized offering. Do not have to be there. So then you could just visualize this. How precious is gold, right? How precious is lapis lazuli, actually, isn't it? Very precious. You're visualizing a mountain made of gold, lapis lazuli, what is it? Crystal. You could just think all the gold of this world is represented. All the lapis lazuli of the world is represented. If I pile them all up, maybe Mount Sumeru. Why not? But at the end of the day, if you are doing offering, if you are offering everything and visualize imaginary things, why not? I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think I'm also asking because for me personally, it has a bigger impact on my mind if, let's say, I offer 3,000 euro to you, than if I sit in meditation and offer gold, that I don't own.
Oh yeah, of course. Mandala practice doesn't mean that you do not have to actually give things. You do not actually have to offer things. This is on top of that. Because whatever we can give, we give. But what we cannot give, we visualize. And that's where mandala comes in. It's a systematic, it's a mandala, mandala. It's a kilkor. It's like a stage where all the good things of this world are represented, but that's it.
Thank you. I think Laura and Emilio, they asked something about not only offering beautiful objects or precious objects, but also, I think you mentioned like offering our obscurations, Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, that's that depends, I think, upon your own teacher, your own lineage. And this is also a bit kind of a higher practice. Actually, these kind of practices come during Guru Yoga, where you offer everything, where you offer your afflictions, Now, saying such things that even your afflictions, like anger and attachment, are very precious is not really Vajrayana specific things, right? As Khyentse Rinpoches have taught us also, many times that in sutras such as Vimalakirti Sutra, where Vimalakirti praises, afflictions to an extent that it makes you think, oh, I think they're good. Almost like if you do not understand it, so yes, and it's like just the concept of Buddha nature, for example. When we understand that a little bit, even intellectually, then Buddha nature is the fabric that. Okay, I'm going to say like this. Buddha nature is like the fabric that creates the cloth of emotion, So no matter good or bad or whatever, the cloth of consciousness is created by this, you understand, this material, which is Buddha nature. So it is spread everywhere. So then everything becomes an object of offering. There's that type of thing. And the other type of thing is that when you offer your enemy, for example, to the Guru, and Guru accepts the enemy, and you visualize that then this enemy is now become one with the Guru. Guru teaches the enemy, guides on the path and gains liberation. You no longer have an enemy, to someone to get angry at, like that. It's very vast. And yeah.
Thank you. I think this is leading to another question where you ask if you could teach a little bit more about Suriname and how it is linked with wisdom, so that we are not only good, or virtuous and deserving, but that we, could you introduce more the wisdom into the entire thing of the offering practice?
How Sonam is linked to wisdom, how merit is linked to wisdom, right?
Yes, and how or what does it mean to also practice the wisdom while doing offerings or dedications and so on?
Or Okay, there are two questions here then, when in your question. How synonymous merit is linked to wisdom? That's one, and another is how to practice wisdom in this context. Wisdom is then to truly understand that these are all, at the end of the day, creation of our mind doesn't truly exist as we perceive them. And that spreads to all, even to the solar system. Creation of mind doesn't really exist there outside of it. And so goes with the mandala too. The person who's offering, this is also actually is from pit instructions that whether you're reciting, practicing, whatever you're doing. So sometimes you are taught to focus on the visualization. So whatever visualization, light, or here is the offering mandala. So you're basically lifting up the entire sort of world in your hand, right? In your hands, right? And by the way, be a little bit energetic, lift it up a little bit, just don't do like half-hearted mandala, So yeah, there's this kind of phenomena that that the object, one who is making the offering, act of offering, these are all very dreamlike. It's happening in a very illusory realm. That's wisdom, practice of wisdom, isn't it? Just very short. Now, how is merit related to wisdom? That's a very difficult point, and actually only the Buddha knows. These very things about, I can only say things that make sense to me in a very sort of kindergarten level. It's like the more merit you have, you're said to be reborn in higher realms. And higher realms are like this, human realms. The capacity of a human being is immense. Forget about precious human or not precious human, just a human being. The intelligence to understand the subtle nuances of, things like, it's recently I was reading this saying of, I think Carl Sagan or somebody, I don't know, where he's talking about books, the greatness of libraries and books, that no other species does that collectively, all the species, they have to remember things, it's all there in their head, and if they don't remember, that's it, is gone. But human being, we are so intelligent that we create memory, that sort of, we store our memory outside of ourselves, that's how amazing is that? And we are capable of understanding very complex, profound things such as impermanence, human beings. So that all happens out of merit. And also, the more you accumulate merit, you will also notice this. You have to do it by yourself. Explanation does not help. That you accumulate more merit, understanding of Dharma spreads, it grows. So it was very long answer. Sorry, I don't know how to give short answers.
Thank you. There's one question, like, how can we make sure that our offering is still fresh, because we have offered the same things already, like in the previous mandala offering, basically. We are repeatedly offering the same thing again and again. But how can we make it fresh and meaningful?
So I have noticed masters changing the offering again and again, though, when you can. But it is fresh. Each moment is fresh. Each moment is untouched. It's new. Everything is fresh. This is one, I didn't know that this is, because I see people like our teacher Dzongsa Khyentse Wangpo, I see him making sort of vast offering, right? We watched him offer 200,000 coconuts, So that's like, imagine 200,000 coconuts. So like hundreds of people have to carry them and place them. And so when I do pujas here, and I just like one table of offering, I feel it's so meager. This is not enough. But recently in a sutra, actually in the sutra of, I forgot the name now, Bodhisattva, where Manibhadra received teachings from Samantabhadra about the king of aspiration. In there, one of the obscuration of Bodhisattva's practice is thinking that your offering is meager. Thinking that, that if you have, just like one date, and then so fixated on it being just one date, and so trusting that this really is there, and thinking, oh, this is so small, being embarrassed of it, thinking it's not right. This thinking it's not fresh, it's not new, that it's meager, it's small and limiting, it's obscuration. That we're supposed to, that in the King of Aspiration, if you read, even upon one atom is the unit, how to say, the realms of Buddha, as many as atoms as there are in the world, right? So how many atoms will fit in your rice? This whole, I don't know.
Thank you. And then there's another touchy topic, like offering our children and partners. The person is not writing that, but I mean, we know that King Trusung Detsen really offered his consort, Yeshe Tsogyal, but the person here is asking, she's asking, what exactly are you offering that you grasp at them as mine? Or what do you mean by offering your kids and spouses?
I don't think it's there in this practice, actually, offering kids and spouses.
But I think you mentioned something in your explanation.
Your loved ones, and this is letting go of them mentally. You do not have to sort of buy them a ticket and send them to your teacher, just mentally, just mentally, just let go of them. That's it's practicing of letting go, right? That's the whole idea of generosity. This, right? So that, I don't know about the King Tizong offering everything. That's a very sort of raw guru yoga practice and something else.
Okay, thank you. Rama, you're saying there's one more question, or do you just mean time-wise?
Time-wise.
Okay.
Actually, Arne, can I had the question about the connection to wisdom was one of my questions, and I was thinking of clarifying what I meant, is that sometimes Westerners think of merit as being something about being good and having virtue, and the Tibet, or the concept of Sonam, is so much vaster than that and encompasses all kinds of action. Could you say a little bit about the difference between, like, the word merit in English is very, very limited, kind of is, if you're meritorious, you're deserving of good things.
Anna, are you answering?
I think we are hoping for your answer.
Oh. I really like what Khyentse Rinpoche said about merit, that any action that takes you closer to realization of reality of phenomena is merit. And this really correlates with, for example, what I just said, that when you accumulate merit, you, for example, in samsaric condition, you gain higher rebirth, and higher rebirth have this intelligence to understand these complex ideas, right? This complex reality of phenomena. That is that merit. Merit can, a part of merit has to do with this moralistic discipline, but it's much more than that. I mean, we're talking about 6 paramitas, for example, right? These are all merit, accumulating merit. And So it goes higher and higher. So first is generosity, but if there is a higher discipline, you must observe and not be generous. You must follow that. But then afterwards comes, for example, tolerance. If there is a higher practice of tolerance, you must observe and ignore discipline. You must do that. So at the top is the wisdom. So if it contradicts wisdom, all the rest have to be ignored, even then discipline. And this is very difficult because it happens all inside one's own mind. Externally, people cannot see that. And so obviously what people can judge us is based upon our behavior, which is very much to do with the sort of morals, ethical behavior, and is it or not, but yes, merit is just too vast. And if we, many times Khyentse Rinpoche, we have all seen him almost sort of complaining that, we are making it too puritanical, too moralistic, and he's right. We're going to lose a lot if we do that. I don't know.
And how can we sort of safeguard that we are really doing this in a Mahayana way, that we are not just focusing on, I want more merit, and we only focus on our own accumulation of merit, whatever that is, but like that we are only generous because we get more merit.
Visualizing all beings practicing together with you is very important, according to Khyentse Wangpo. For example, during refuge practice, you are supposed to visualize all beings practicing refuge together with you. Khyentse Wangpo actually said that to his student Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo, that when someone does practice in this way, it has the ability to liberate them from the deepest of lower realms if they are born there, So, yes. So here too, when you're making mandala offering, it's not just you. All beings are making the offering together with you. And of course, needless to say, bodhicitta has to be practiced. It really, you have to remind yourself when you are putting the scented water, on the stone or whatever mandala plate you have, that this is, you are smearing the bodhicitta on your Buddha nature, sort of. This idea has to be, of course. And the visualization can be as grand and as complex as as per your ability. There's really no limit to it. I think Arne is not really hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Me, and he's just not doing
No, shall I repeat what you said?
No. Please go ahead. What else?
I think maybe time is sort of coming to an end.
Okay.
And maybe let's hear from our wonderful project holder, Dolma, directly, the concluding words and the dedication.
The first thing I want to do, of course, is to thank you both so much. Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for that wonderful, wonderful teaching. Thank you, Arne, for all of your wise words and looking after the event. And I also, Rinpoche, there was a request specifically directed at you to teach again on this topic at some point. So we may need to have a part 2, if that's okay. Could you please teach again on this topic and on many others for us?
Oh, whatever I can do.